Jesse Walker, welcome to Insight Incorporated. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Ian. Thanks for having me.
Where are you these days?
Currently, I'm in Maui. I've been here for a while. Been back and forth between Maui and California the past few years, but I've been in Maui recently, and then I'll be going to California in about 10 days to be ready for the volleyball season there.
Sweet. What league are you playing in?
So there is a new league for beach volleyball, but it's been just a series of tournaments through the AVP, that's a professional beach volleyball league. They've just added a league as well, so it's like half league, half tournaments. But that's the main top pro level volleyball stuff. And then there's also California has tournaments every weekend, so it's called the CBVA, and they've got tournaments every weekend. You can play somewhere in California and play those tournaments.
That's awesome. How long have you been playing in the AVP or playing their tournaments?
So I've played some smaller ones here and there. They just have like a lower version AVP next, and you can play some of those and try to like get points and qualify for bigger tournaments. So I've done those here and there, but it was always hard. I was mostly based in New York or Ohio. Being on the East Coast is hard to be part of that. I always wanted to get to the West Coast, either California or Hawaii, somewhere here, so I could do more of the beach volleyball stuff. So just 2023 is when I actually went to California and played full time for half a year and got to be involved in some of the stuff there.
That's awesome. For those who don't know, which is probably most people, Jesse is my cousin, and our family's from Western New York, so beach volleyball is definitely a seasonal affair up here, not so in California or Hawaii. When I wanted to go through like the beginning of you playing volleyball specifically. You've played a lot of sports in your life, but when did you start playing volleyball? And then like how quickly did you fall in love with it?
Yeah, so you're right. I did play baseball. It was my primary sport from when I was 5 years old. Started playing baseball. Played basketball and soccer as well through high school. Played volleyball like in church stuff. Like we play at youth group. We had a church league, so like messed around in that, but never was on a real team. Never learned how to play at all until I went to college. Played at University of Buffalo. They don't have a full-time D1 team, but they do have a club team, and it was top 10 in the nation at that time. So I got to be part of that through a friend who got me on the team, and I was terrible at that time. I didn't know what I was doing. It was chaos around me. I was so confused, but I jumped really well. I had a really fast arm. So they said because I was athletic, I could be on the team. I just wouldn't play in games. I could just practice with them and kind of try to learn and get better. And it was just like a fun new challenge for me. Like I had played some here and there for fun, but never understood the game or what it was about. So it was like a new challenge and a new way to use my athleticism, which was fun. And I've always loved defense. Playing defense in sports is fun for me. And it was a chance to do that. So yeah, I fell in love with it pretty quickly. Like as soon as I got out of that chaotic state of not knowing what was going on around me, as soon as I felt more calm and like I had an idea at least what I was trying to do, I really fell in love with it. Just the way the game is played. I love that it's a team sport. I love that like you're on the same side as your team and you're kind of separate from the other side. You guys can just work together on your side without people interfering with you. It's just a really cool game. And then beach volleyball is also volleyball, but it's different. So that was indoor that I was talking about. And then beach volleyball is primarily 2-on-2, whereas indoor 6-on-6. So way less people, you get way more contacts because there's just the two of you. So you're pretty much touching the ball every time it comes over on your side of the net. Way more strategy, way more communication. It's a lot more involved. Indoor is more like mechanical and like you do a thing a certain way every time. Beach is a lot of like creativity and making adjustments, which I love.
Yeah, I think I credit you with my group of friends from high school switching over from pickup basketball being our shared sport to outdoor volleyball. We rarely have like a sand pit to play in, but we'll set up a net in somebody's yard and play on the grass, which is not the same thing, but it is a lot of fun. And I just recently moved back to where most of those guys are from, so I'm looking forward to playing this summer.
Awesome.
But I was just going to say that the creativity aspect of and like you have to be adaptable. The wind is a factor, the sunlight, all these different things. It is much different than indoor, which has obviously controlled elements, but then even just more players almost always kind of limits the. Everybody has more specific roles. There's no switching back and forth, and even if you have two players, you might have generally assigned roles, but you get caught out, and the guy you want at the net might be stuck somewhere else. But yeah, I I'm interested to know at what point. Well, and I'll ask you because you played a lot of sports. Have you always loved um, teaching or coaching the sport that you're playing, or was volleyball maybe one of the first ones that you tried to do that in a serious or
Yeah,
organized way?
yeah. Volleyball is really the first sport and kind of the only sport that I've really coached. I've done little things here and there, like through church stuff. We did some basketball things and random things like that. But volleyball was the only one that I really learned how to coach. And I think I always, from a young age, I always wanted, like, my passion in life is helping others learn and grow. So that's like the overall thing. And I think volleyball became an avenue for me to do that, a chance to help people learn and grow through a sport. Um, and it's a sport that I learned, and I learned it on my own. I never had a coach, and I never was on like a true team. Even the club team is kind of just like you're on your own and you show up and you do your own thing. A lot of them had more experience, so they could share stuff with me and I could ask questions and learn, but I never had a coach that was investing in me intentionally and like telling me, teaching me things for volleyball. I had coaches in other sports, so I had that opportunity and got to see that. But um, yeah, I think it was just a sport that I loved. And the more I learned and grew in it, the more I wanted to help others learn and grow in it, especially like seeing them at places that I'd been. So if I had gotten to a point and I saw somebody that had been somewhere that I had been, it was a cool opportunity to be like, oh, I was there. Let me help you try to get from where you are to where I am now. So it just kind of happened naturally. And then I started to seek out volleyball coaching opportunities after that.
Where was your first opportunity?
I think my actual first opportunity was in Cincinnati at CCU. I went there and did a year of seminary. And while I was there, they had a volleyball team, a women's volleyball team, and I'd asked if I could help out with that. I think that was my first coaching opportunity. And back then, I didn't really know much about coaching or the sport even itself. Like I just knew what I'd heard from others, so I just tried to share what I knew and what I'd experienced. But I never like read a book about it or studied it really. It was just kind of like sharing my experience with them and being involved in that way. So that was probably the first chance I had. And then the first time I really got into coaching was when I started coaching at Paradigm Volleyball Club in Rochester, which is a girls volleyball club run by CJ Dank. And it's a great club. He's awesome. And he's the first one that really gave me an opportunity to coach and just invested in me and shared his knowledge and experience with me and gave me a chance to have the opportunity to coach and learn while I did it.
Yeah. Um, when it comes to coaching volleyball, what is, I guess, what's your favorite part? That seems like kind of a lame question, but like you mentioned that you like to see people learn and grow and give them the tools to do what they're trying to do. Uh, but like maybe could you describe a favorite moment in the process of coaching somebody up?
Yeah, I think, and we can talk about this more going forward, but the mental side of volleyball is what I really grew to love. So I think when I see, well, overall, I can just say when I see people understand something for the first time, not just hear it and not just like register in their head, but when they like it becomes a part of them, they fully understand it and it becomes something that they can start like doing and becoming, not just like something they've heard. I think that's my favorite part. And that can be volleyball skill related, that can be mental related. But there are moments you can see where it really clicks in a certain way and it changes the way they approach that skill, which is really cool. And then as I've gone, I've learned to find ways to create more of those moments and to get them into those clicking moments where through what I say or how I say it or the situation I put them in a practice or training, then they have that opportunity to have that moment, and then that kind of ignites them to pursue that skill more.
Yeah. Uh, you mentioned some language there that reminded me of John Mark Comer, and he is a pastor with like a an apprenticeship based model for discipleship. And I was thinking earlier how cool it is. You said it was a challenge to for your athleticism to play volleyball when you started, and I don't know that a lot of people, maybe athletes, but maybe not a lot of other people experience that sort of like kinetic or embodied growth. Like they might read a book and learn something, or they might watch a documentary and learn something. But to embody your education is sort of, I don't know. I hadn't thought of it that way until you said that. But then hearing you said doing and becoming, and I think that's key in the spiritual life. And so I wonder if that is something that we're all meant to do in some way to learn how to use our bodies well. It's volleyball is just a game, but it is a particular set of constraints that draw out certain movements and strategies and like you're thinking through what you're going to do next, all of that. And in order to do it well, I think that like obviously you need a coach to teach you to teach your body how to be a good volleyball player. But yeah, I'm just interested in that. I think music is probably another example of something that requires physical, embodied learning. Like it's not just abstract; it's physical. When you started teaching or started coaching, what was when did you get interested in the mental side of things?
So I think I always was. I just wasn't fully aware of it. Because like I said, I'm passionate about helping people learn and grow. So that was focused more on like the volleyball skill stuff as I was coaching, but also I always, if there was something that I thought of that helped me as an athlete, especially like it helped me to be more confident or to handle pressure better, or whatever it was, I would share that with my athletes as well to try to help them in those situations, especially if they came up a situation they struggled. And I was like, oh, I struggled with that too. And this helped me. So it was always part of what I did, but I didn't really fully get into it until I started coaching college. I coached at Cuca College for 4 or 5 years. I was the head women's coach there, and it became my full-time job, which was awesome because everything I did there was volleyball. So I was doing the practices and like investing in the team, and like I did the budgets and schedules and all that kind of stuff. Did the recruiting and scouting and all kinds of things. But there were times that I just had office hours that I had needed to be in the office, and I didn't have necessarily anything to do pressing. And I just wanted to keep learning about coaching and becoming a better coach for my players because I cared about them and I wanted to be my best for them. So I started reading books, tried to find some books that would be helpful in learning how to coach because I'm not, like I said, I never had a volleyball coach, but I was never really taught to coach. Like I didn't go to school for coaching or anything. I didn't take classes and learn specific parts of it. So I wanted to kind of learn on my own. So I started reading books. The first few I read were Mindset by Carol Dweck, which is fantastic. The Talent Code by Daniel Coyle, and The Inner Game of Tennis by Tim Holloway, I think. And those are like my like holy trinity of sports coaching books, I call it. They're like the three best that I think are just so helpful for anybody who's coaching or an athlete to learn. And those three really sparked me to want to keep learning more about coaching stuff. And it's not coaching specific, but like things that help as a coach. So mindset's about your growth mindset that helps you as a coach or a player. Talent code is about how to develop talent. That's important. And then inner game of tennis is like mental stuff, like self-talk and how to talk to yourself in a way that's going to benefit you so you can be a great learner. And those three are just fantastic and really excited me to learn that and get to share that because it also helped me. I was always playing volleyball throughout my life. Once I started in college, I was always playing at some point. And so I took the things that I learned and I also applied them to myself, and it made a huge difference in me right away. And I knew that because of that, I could share that with others and help them too. So that was a big part of it. And I just kept reading more and more books. I probably read like 200 books so far that I read for the intention of being better at coaching, um, and all kinds of stuff. So those things, leadership stuff, communication things, like how the brain works, like learning, all kinds of things. And they all are so interesting and fun to read and learn and then apply them when I'm coaching and like experiment by using them and helping athletes in that way. And then COVID was a big time too, because we couldn't be in the gym. I was coaching at that time, a club in high school. We couldn't be in the gym at all in New York. We couldn't do anything with the team, and I wanted to find ways to still help them and invest in them, even though um, we couldn't be in the gym. So I decided to create like an hour long program, like a questions and stories and kind of thing to do with my players. And then I just did 1 hour Zoom chats with each of my players and went through and just talked about these different skills. So like self-talk and confidence is one, how to handle pressure, communication and teamwork, handling your emotions. So I just created a program of each one that was a combination of stuff I've read in books, stuff I've experienced myself and learned, stuff I've learned from other people that I've asked questions about, and a lot of questions that they got to answer and kind of work through on their own. And like I thought it'd be beneficial and I was excited about it. I thought my players would do it just because like they respected me and thought that like if I thought it was valuable, they would try it. But they actually seemed to be like really excited about it, and we would finish it and they'd be like, all right, when's the next one? And like ready to sign up and stuff. So it was cool to see that not only did they think it was valuable, but like they were excited to learn more. And it was a great way to connect with my players too. So not just teaching and lecturing, but a way to like learn more about them. They can learn more about me, and it increases like the trust between us and our player coach relationship. So that was like the big spark, I would say, for the mental training stuff. And then it's just been a high priority for me since.
Yeah. I don't know if this is putting you on the spot, but I wanted to follow up on those three books.
Sure.
And I don't know if we have to do all three, but they sound interesting. And I wonder, like, if you have an insight from one or all three of them that stands out. You gave the overview of each one. Maybe if we could just start with the growth mindset, and then I want to follow up with definitely like how to develop talent. That sounds like a really interesting topic. So to ask a question, well, I'll just what was an insight from the book about the growth mindset?
Sure. Um, just the basic idea of it is something that we kind of all are aware of, but maybe not something that we really think through. So growth mindset is it's something where you believe you can get better at something. So you're willing to embrace challenges, like you want to be in there when things are tough, learning how to get better. You're willing to make mistakes, knowing that you have to make mistakes to get better. So it's more of like going in with a positive mindset, like optimistic about the outcome, knowing that you can grow in that field, in that skill, whatever it is. Fixed mindset is people that think, or not people, but thinking about something as you're either good at it or you're not, and not something you can get better at. So most people are growth mindset in some things, fixed mindset in other things, and usually it's experience based. So like if you've seen yourself get better at something, you probably are growth mindset in that because you know you can get better. Whereas if it's something that you maybe haven't gotten better at or haven't seen that or noticed, then you might be fixed mindset about that. So for myself, I was always growth mindset in sports because I, from a young age, played sports and got better and always saw that. So I believed any sport I played, I could get better at. Like I could pick any sport right now and go start learning it, and then I would improve quickly because I know I can improve and I'm passionate about doing that. Fixed mindset. I was fixed mindset about drawing. That's one thing that I remember being fixed mindset about. My uncle is a fantastic drawer. Actually, multiples are. But my uncle Dan, especially, he draws cartoons. He draws all kinds of stuff. My grandpa as well. And they would draw all the time. So we played Pictionary and they would draw the best, most interesting, creative things. And I couldn't even draw like a stick figure. I tried to draw like a horse or a cow and they always look the same. I don't know how to differentiate. Um, so I just thought I was bad at drawing. Like that wasn't like God didn't put drawing into me when I was born, and that just wasn't my thing. And I was okay with it because I didn't care. Like it's not like drawing was a huge part of my life, but I just didn't think I was a good artist. But I've learned, and in the book, there's actually an example of that where they gave some people, they had people do self portraits. So they just random people that aren't artists just do self portraits, and they're comical to look at. It's so bad. It's like when I try to do a self portrait, it's just horrible. And then they have another picture next to it of another self-portrait of themselves, and it's way better, like crazy better. And then they say afterwards, it was after like a 5-day course of drawing. So just after 5 days, they went from like silly looking photo to like, it actually looks like the person is way better. And I saw that and I was like, wow, like if I wanted to, I could get better at that. I didn't know that. Like I thought I just wasn't good at it. So I would say that was a big thing, was just realizing that your growth mindset in some things, your fixed mindset in other things, and trying to be more growth mindset about as many things as possible in life, like things that you can actually grow in, which is most things. Just having that mindset, and it doesn't mean that you have to do it. Like I still haven't practiced drawing too much. Yeah, so just the idea that you're going to be growth mindset in some things and fixed mindset in other things, and then trying to move towards growth mindset as many things as possible. Because most things in life you can get better at if you choose to. And I still haven't gotten better at drawing because I haven't tried, but I know that I could if I wanted to. And just having that mindset is a big difference, but especially in things you're trying to pursue. Like if you're trying to play volleyball and trying to get better, if people are like a middle blocker and they just say, I can't pass, I'm not a passer, I haven't done that. But if you tried and practiced and put some effort into it, you could get better at that. So just that idea is beneficial. It opens you up to a lot of possibilities, and it like frees you instead of thinking like I'm good at these things and bad at these things. It's just like I'm good at these things and I'm bad at these things right now. But the idea is like I could get better if I wanted to. So I'm not good yet. That kind of idea.
Okay, so when it comes to the growth mindset, the willingness to fail seems like it's a huge part of the ability to grow. And I know from my own personal experience that often what keeps me from trying things is the unwillingness to fail. I'm more concerned about that possibility than the possibility of growing. And then maybe even I struggle to see, you know, how it is that I could grow, like what could happen if I gave it a shot. So I guess I'm wondering how how you navigate that with a player as a coach, trying to impart this growth mindset. How can you how can you give somebody that confidence that it's okay to fail in a specific way, and there will be good things on the other side?
Yeah. Again, a lot of this has to come down to trust. Trust is huge in the coach-player relationship. And if the player trusts me, then when I say this, like, do it this way and it'll get better, I promise you, if I have that trust, then they can just do it. The tough thing is you don't always have that trust, whether it's because it's a person that has harder time trusting or just somebody I haven't coached as long. I've done a lot of coaching of camps and clinics where it's players I've never interacted with before, or even if it's just new players on a team that I haven't developed that trust with yet, that's harder. So at that point, it's more about helping them to understand the idea of growth mindset and that they can get better at things. And I think the conversation is the most important part. Really just trying to help them to understand and believe that they can get better if they try, and that mistakes are a part of it and they're going to have to fail to do it. Yeah, it's one of the biggest things. So the conversation is important. And then I would try to set up like more isolated kind of drill skill stuff, helping them to have the experience of getting better at something, even in like a very small way, so they can get that feeling and understanding that they can get better. And that's hard. It takes longer in like the cast of gameplay. So gameplay training is great in general, but to have the isolated kind of time where you can just focus on one skill and just see yourself get better a little bit, that's really helpful. And then that can, like, once they have that belief and understanding, then we can bring that into bigger stuff, and then they'll feel more comfortable making those mistakes, knowing that they can get better, and they will, even if it doesn't feel better at the time, that they will get better overall. So that's a big part of it. And then culture is huge too. Team culture is really important, and that's something why I love coaching teams, and especially college teams, because I can help create that culture as a coach, but also with the players I bring in. When I recruit, I can find the kind of players that I think are going to help that culture. And when you are part of a team that celebrates mistakes, like celebrates aggressive mistakes, knowing that we're all trying to get better and that's how we're going to do it, it's such a freeing feeling. Like, you don't have to worry about looking bad or people being upset with you. When people celebrate, when you take a big swing and hit it just out, like, that's such a cool feeling, because you didn't do what you wanted to do, but you kind of did. Like you're getting better, having a chance to get better because you tried it. So that's been a big thing. I always try to create that culture both in teams and even in groups that I train together, just to celebrate mistakes. And as long as they're aggressive mistakes, if we're trying to get better, that's important. Not just being sloppy and lazy, but if we're trying to get better and make a mistake, that's a good thing. And I'm still doing this. Like I keep track of when I'm playing. Right now I'm playing and training a lot to get ready for the season to play. And I keep a list of things I want to work on when I play. So like today I was working on hitting left-handed. I was working on jump setting. I was working on different types of serves. But also something I thought of that I added to it is I want to make 3 aggressive mistakes every game that I play. So every game that I play to 21, I want to have at least 3 aggressive mistakes. Because if I'm not, then it means I'm not pushing myself enough. I'm just doing what's safe and easy. And I can do those things already. I've proven that because I do them. But I want to be trying new things and pushing what I can do. And maybe some of those things are not possible or don't make sense, but I want to find that out. I don't want to just assume that beforehand. So that's been a new thing for me. And I'm excited to share it with others of like, force yourself to make 3 aggressive mistakes each game. And if you haven't done it, try things that are even more aggressive, like try things that are even harder and just get to that place where you're making mistakes. And then when you have that rule on yourself, it frees you to make those mistakes without feeling upset about it because like you have to do it. And that's something I try to do as a coach too, is put my players in situations where they have to try new things, harder things, but the rules force you to do it. So you have to. And then people can't be upset with you or laugh at you if you try it because you had to. Like I've done stuff where every time you play a ball, you have to dive to play it. And it's silly, but it forces people to do it. Or like hitting left-handed, like you have to only swing left-handed. And if you try it in a game and you're not supposed to do that, people might laugh at you, or like you might feel like they're going to laugh at you if you make a mistake. But if the game is you have to hit left-handed and you try it and miss, who cares? Like you did what you had to do, and maybe it didn't work out, but you had to. So that's something I really try to do. And just something I saw recently, a girl was wearing a hoodie at the beach this past Saturday. She's getting coached. She's like a high school player. And her hoodie said something like, your desire to avoid looking silly is robbing you of a chance to grow, or something like that. And I love that. And I complimented her for that. And it's true. Mostly we focus on how we're going to look when we do things. It's not as much about the result. Like it's sad when you try something and the result isn't what you wanted. But I think the much bigger issue is we care about how we look and how people see us. And if we make mistakes, we often will think that either people are going to think we're bad at it, or that they're going to laugh at us, or, make fun of us. Even if they don't, we still have that fear. So getting past that and being in a place where you're willing to just try stuff and look silly and make mistakes, that's huge. And I embrace that. And I've looked so silly in the past however many years playing volleyball. I've made so many mistakes. I hit cut shots that land on my own side of the net. I've tried to handset balls that went through my hands, hit me in the face. I've done all kinds of stuff. And I enjoy those moments because that's like necessary to get better. And it's been cool to see others like embrace that as well, and see that I don't get embarrassed when that happens, but that I am thankful for the opportunity and then excited about where it gives me a chance to go.
Yeah, I love the idea of a fail quota, because even that in itself is like trying to do something that you might fail at, but like having a goal going into any different arena. Because obviously, like the reason I wanted to talk to you is not because I have a huge contingent of people that watch this podcast that really care about the ins and outs of volleyball, but because I think that anything done at a high level translates to any other thing that you could do at a high level. And so if somebody is listening, I know I'm going to be trying to do the fail quota. I've got a lot of things that I'm trying to do in my life. Being a dad, being a first-time dog owner. We just got a dog. That's
nice.
Fun.
Congrats.
And different. Yeah, thanks. And there's always stuff to figure out in life. While we're here, I just want to take a tangent and ask you, in this whole process of going from the UB club team all the way to where you are today, playing at a very high level in professional beach volleyball, do you have a favorite failure, whatever that means to you, at any moment in that journey that you can look back at? Because to me, what I'm hearing is that you probably do, and it's not just something that you are willing to take risks and fail on the court, but like you've relocated to Hawaii part of the year and California that's very far away from where you're from, and so that's a risk that most people wouldn't be willing to take, you know. And yeah, so do you have any favorite failures?
That's a really good question. I'm sure I do. Uh, I should have a list of those. One that comes to mind just in general is when I switched from indoor to beach volleyball. And that happened when I came to visit Maui with my family. And I played a lot of indoor at that point and got pretty good and felt good about myself as an indoor player. And then came here and saw people playing sand volleyball. And I was like, oh, I play volleyball. I can do that. That's fun. So I asked if I could join. I went and joined. And they asked me like my background. I was like, yeah, I played at college. I know what I'm doing. I'm great. And then I hit every single ball in the net every time. And they gave me little tips. They're like, you should try this, whatever. And I was like, yeah, I got it. And I just kept hitting that over and over again. And that was like a big experience for me of failing a lot in a row for the first time since I started playing, because I had continually gotten better at things after I started. But this was like going back and being like, oh, now this is totally different. This is something that I'm not used to. Even though volleyball, like indoor and beach, are both volleyball, they're kind of different sports. They play a lot differently, and one big part is playing in the sand, playing with the wind, playing with the sun. The timing's a lot different, so things aren't as mechanical as they are in indoor. It's a lot of variation and adjusting to the conditions. And so my jump wasn't as high. I'm jumping out of the sand. The wind moved the ball. It's just a different game and smaller court too. So a lot of those issues or reasons caused me to make a lot of mistakes and hit the ball in the net. And I could have just quit and been like, it's not for me. I'm going to try something else. But I wanted to get better at it, so I kept trying. And so then it was just like a process of how can I be successful in this area. So it was making adjustments to my jump, to my approach, to my swing, to my vision, all kinds of stuff, and just like experimenting, just like trying a bunch of different things and trying to figure out what to do. And again, a lot of them were failures. A lot of them were in the net, out of bounds, swing and miss. I swung swung and missed plenty of balls as well, which is embarrassing. It could be embarrassing. It's just how you view that. But I viewed it as like part of the process of me getting better at what I'm doing. So, I just embraced those failures, and that was a tough thing for my ego, going from crushing balls in indoor to not being able to get over the net. But I turned it into like a science experiment of I'm going to try a bunch of different things and figure out which things work and how to make this happen. And failed a lot, but eventually figured out how to do it, and now feel pretty confident hitting a ball in the sand. So it's been fun.
That's a lot of fun. The second book that you mentioned, I really wanted to just press you for a specific insight, maybe a little bit more detail on it. You said that it was about how to develop talent in yourself or maybe in other people. And I'm just interested in that process.
Yeah. So the book is great. It goes through a lot of different things, and it's a guy that wanted to figure out how talent is developed and where it comes from. So he found a bunch of places where it's like a small, insignificant kind of place that a lot of talent came from, and tried to figure out why that was. And actually, Eastman School of Music in Rochester is one of the places he went, because it's like a small music school. It's a good one, but it's small and kind of in the middle of like whatever. And a lot of great talent has come from it. He also went to, I think, Brazil for soccer, these little towns where a lot of great players came from, but like very like poor towns, country, not like big. But he just went to these places where it's like a small town, small place that a lot of talent grew from, and tried to figure out why. So he goes through a lot of it. He goes through like the physiological, anatomical stuff of what's actually happening in your body when you develop talent, which is like wrapping myelin around axons. And the more you do that, the more the movements become smooth and like easy. It's like when you're, even just walking, when you start to walk, when babies start to walk, as you're seeing or will see, it's like choppy and they fall down and whatever. And then eventually, we can all walk pretty well without issue, right? You don't even think about it. It just happens. It's very smooth because you've done it so many times. You develop that in your body, and it's wrapped that myelin around, so it's smooth. So same thing. And one of the examples they give is like you're trying to go through the woods, like through a jungle, and every time you go through, you like chop some stuff down to get through it. And the more you go through it, the more like on that path, the more you chop down to eventually it's like totally clear. You can just walk through it without even thinking about it. Don't have to chop anything down. So that's a good way to visualize it. And it just takes time and like intentional effort to do it. So that's like the physical part of it. But then he talks about the other part, which is a lot of interest is a big part, like how interested you are in the thing that you're doing. And so he talks about how like geniuses of things, like musical geniuses like Beethoven and Bach and whoever, he says people like that weren't born special. They weren't born as genius musicians. They probably were just born with a much higher interest for music than most people. And so from even like a young age, even from like a baby, they were probably getting better at music just by listening to music because they were so interested in it and like appreciated it and liked it that they were like listening to it, processing it, analyzing it. So maybe not from baby, I don't know, but at least from a really young age, like they're getting better just by hearing it. And then, the more they pursue it, the more they're interested and they keep like going after it hard. Interest is a big part of it. And then there's like an ignition part he talks about where you get like sparked like a passion for whatever it is. And that kind of goes with interest as well. But that's what he said with a lot of these places. Like in the Dominican, there's a place, a small town where a lot of talent has come from. And again, like poor kind of place, not a lot of money, facilities, teams, resources. But when some players or some guys from there went and played in the major leagues, and then other kids saw like, wow, they came from our town and they played in the major leagues, I could do that. And just that idea like sparks the interest and excitement and the passion for doing it and like the possibility of it. And like all those things combined help you to develop your talent. Then he goes through a bunch of things about how to develop talent, of like the time that you put into it, intentional practice, like when you're practicing, you're not just getting the reps and doing it. People say going through the motions, but you're being focused and intentional on it. And so you're observing what happens, you're seeing the mistakes, you're seeing what works, and then you're learning from that as you go. And like, that's a big part of it too.
Yeah, that's all super fascinating stuff. I was thinking a little bit about how we get the word talent from the Bible story about the talents, and how that's the way that it made its way into the English language. So that story is told by Jesus about how it's a parable about a master and three servants, and he gives them disparate amounts of talents. So one gets 5 of them, the other one gets 3, and the other one gets 1, something like that. And I don't want to get into like the scriptural meaning of it, but like the idea that the talent comes from above, that you're given it to utilize it, I think wraps into what you were just saying about the ignition aspect, like pursuing your talent, developing your talent. All of that has repercussions in the community around you. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't know if it'll be in the podcast, but just about how my friends and I play volleyball. I just feel like sort of because of you, maybe Frump was involved in it, playing it at the church or whatever, but it's a second order effect of you pursuing something that interests you and something that you developed your brain or your body to be able to do. And that's a small example, but like it's brought a lot of joy to our friend group to play volleyball over the years. And I think that talent is often it's like the source of a lot of maybe jealousy or envy. Some people are like, oh, it's sort of a fixed mindset versus growth mindset approach to it. Like so and so has this God-given ability to do this, but they were maybe God-given the interest, or they received it from God. Because I think that is I think that the process of growing is sort of like just what life is all about. Like if you look at a tree, they have a far longer lifespan than any of us do, and as a result of that, we get to see life transpire in the snippet that we're a part of, but then you can hear the story like, oh yeah, that's actually a 400-year-old tree. And you can see the way that it continues to grow, like if it's alive, that means it's still growing. Yeah, it's really interesting. What was the third book that you mentioned? It was about self-talk.
It's called The Inner Game of Tennis.
The Inner Game of Tennis. That sounds like it describes the the inner dialogue. Did you how did that book speak to you personally?
It's huge on self-talk, and that is something that I've always struggled with, actually, or used to struggle with. It talks about there's a self one and a self two, and like one is the one that's talking about, like, after something happens, it's the one that's talking to the rest of you, and the other one is the one that performed the action. So it's like your body performs the action, and your brain is talking to your body about what happened. And it's often negative. It's often like, if you make a mistake is what we're talking about. So if you didn't do something the way you wanted to, often it's a negative response in your head about yourself of what happened. And it's just about like that idea and how to control it and how to do that better. And a big part of it is, instead of critiquing yourself, instead of criticizing yourself when you make a mistake, to just observe what happened and then let yourself learn from it. So one example they give in the book that's so smart is, if you're in a tennis match, and like I say volleyball, because volleyball is what we're talking about mostly. So if we're playing volleyball and I'm playing against you and I hit a ball and it lands out of bounds, so it lands out of bounds. I feel bad because I hit out of bounds. You feel good because it went out of bounds. So it's your point. The ref calls it out of bounds, but he doesn't feel anything. He just observes what happens and calls it. And the idea is being more like the ref in your mindset. So instead of perceiving the result as good or bad, you're just observing what happened and then allowing yourself to learn from it. And that's a big thing, because your brain will, every time you see the result of what you did, your brain can learn better for the next time. But if you're too busy critiquing and criticizing yourself for what happened, you get in the way of that, and then you don't get a chance to observe and learn because you're too focused on beating yourself up about the mistake. So it's just getting yourself out of the way, observing, and then letting yourself learn from there. Because your brain is incredible. Like, God has made us so complex and interesting. Our brains figure out how to do things. Like I was mentioning earlier, our brains will figure out how to solve a problem and do something. Even if you do it the wrong way, it still will find some way to do it. So we need to get out of the way of our brains and let our brains learn and store all those results so that they can figure out how to do it better next time.
Yeah, that's really interesting about the third personing. I've heard recently about how you, if you ask somebody to describe a problem that they can't solve, they'll use first person language. Well, I can't, etc. And then if you get them to use third person language and describe it like they're offering advice to a friend, they can actually offer advice to themselves, sort of no problem. Like they can see it and speak to it in a productive way. It's fascinating that our brains work that way. I was going to ask you, is it like empirical studies that show that you have a self one and a self two, or is that sort of like the framework that he was using in the book?
I think it's just a picture, just a way to visualize it, of saying that, because it's really like you're talking to yourself when it happens. So it's just like having that idea of like splitting from the you that's learning and like doing things, and then there's like a separate you that's like critiquing the actual you that's doing things. So it's all you, but it's like you separate yourself from that so you can criticize yourself after you did something.
The model seems accurate. Like I have experienced that within myself. I'm trying to ask about the your experience with the self-talk. You said you struggled with it before. Was that primarily? Why do you think you struggled with it? And I guess when did you realize you overcame it?
Yeah. I think just from a young age, and again, I don't know if this is something that God gave me or something that I developed through life experiences, but I've always wanted to do what I do well. I've always been like, I cared about what I did and wanted to do it well, whatever it was. And there's the idea of perfectionism. And I think I felt part of that early on. Like I wanted to do everything to the best possible, my best possible ability, whether that was school or sports or work, like anything that I did, I wanted to do well, even like the most simple things. That's always been a part of me. And perfectionism, it can be overwhelming if you don't handle it right. It can be at a place where, again, like you're beating yourself up if you make any mistake, which doesn't allow for growth mindset. And I went through that in school. Like the first time I didn't get an A in college, like really bothered me, and it wasn't deserved. It was like a mistake, and like I really should have actually gotten it. But it wasn't about my performance. It was about that one mark, an A- instead of an A, that really bothered me. So that's results focused, and that's like more fixed mindset kind of idea. So that was part of it, is just that perfectionism. So every time I make a mistake, I would feel like, why didn't I do that right? I know I can do it. I didn't do it right. And I just ended up beating myself up about mistakes, especially when I'm competing, like in tournaments and games that matter. And another part is I felt like I was letting my team down. So that was another issue, was I felt like I was not doing what I should have done and also letting my team down. But yeah, like I would say the worst possible, like truly the worst possible things you could say to yourself, I said to myself from playing volleyball, like from making a mistake in volleyball, which is so silly. And it was like, it wasn't just volleyball. It's like life stuff, like life, whatever, how I viewed my life and how I viewed myself. And then that carried over into volleyball. So that was its own issue, but the self-talk was bad all over, and it really came through in volleyball. So I knew it was a problem, and it really affected me. I was not a good partner. I thought I was. I thought I was being like trying to be the best I could. So I was trying to help my teammate. And if I made a mistake, then if I showed that I was really upset that I made a mistake, then they would understand and be like, oh yeah, he really cares. Like he's really trying. But it ended up being like the opposite. And one of the biggest moments that helped me with that was I was playing with my friend Therese Cannon, who's now playing. She's one of the best blockers in the country. She's phenomenal. And we were playing co-ed tournaments together, and it was always fun to play with her. We had fun. We were friends. It was great. But again, it was that. So I would make a mistake and I would like beat myself up and be like so mad. And I thought I was showing that I cared that I made a mistake and that I was sorry by doing that. And I remember during a final at playing a beach tournament in Rochester, and I went over and talked to my dad during like a timeout, and he said like, you guys can have fun together. She wants to enjoy playing with you, but you're not letting her because you're so upset with yourself that it's not fun to be out there right now. And I was like, no, like I want her to know that I care, and like I'm upset. Like it's not like I'm lazy or don't care I made a mistake. And he's like, well, it's affecting her negatively. So you're making bad plays now, and then also you're making it harder for her, and then she has to feel like she has to pick you up and encourage you and all that. So yeah, the self-talk stuff really impacted me, and that was a big moment for me. They kind of turned things around. Then when I started learning about how to control your self-talk and this idea of self one and self two, and observing rather than critiquing, like that was huge for me. And I started implementing that into when I played. So there was a process from where I was, which was if I, let's say they served a ball at me and I shanked it and hit it out of bounds and didn't pass it well. So I used to say like, I suck, I'm terrible, I'm worthless because I didn't pass that ball. So from there, I was trying to switch to, I should have passed that ball. Like, I know I can do that. I should have done that. But it's still kind of demanding on yourself. It's not really letting yourself be free. It's kind of like holding yourself accountable, which is kind of good, but it was kind of more like a negative. And so then instead of that, I tried to go to, I know I can pass that ball. I know I can pass that ball. If they serve that ball to me, I know I can do it. And that was more positive, where at that point I'm not hurting myself or holding myself accountable, but saying like, I believe in myself that I can pass that ball. And then the next version I went to was like, I'm going to pass that next time. So focusing on the future rather than the past or even the present, and being like, next time that ball comes to me, I'm going to pass it. I'm going to do something. And then the next level of that was like figuring out how to do the thing to make it better. So when I started learning more about technique and skill and how to do things, then it was like, oh, I didn't pass that ball well because when it came to me, my back shoulder was back and it skipped off my platform. Next time I'm going to get my back shoulder forward so I can keep the ball in front of me and push the ball towards the net. And then that way I'm, again, focusing on the future, but with a purpose and not just like hoping I do better, just saying I'm gonna do better next time, but it's like, this is how I'm gonna do better next time. And it was a long process to go through all those, and it took me years to get through them all. But it's gotten to a point where like I never say a negative thing to myself when I play anymore, which is crazy because it used to be every time, all the time. Even when I did a good thing, I would find something bad or something I could have done better and like beat myself up about that. So that was a process of learning and growing and trying, but I really believe that God was a big part of that too, and really helped me through that journey, giving me the positivity and the encouragement and belief, which has helped me a lot. And now it's helped me to help others. And now anybody I'm playing with, I can share that with them. So people often say things like that. I'm playing with people right now. They're saying things like that, like I suck. I can't do this. I can't do that. And then I can help them I can help them get better self-talk, get to a better place where instead of attacking themselves, they're looking towards the future and finding a way to do it better.
Yeah. It is strange. I definitely have done what you're saying, and the way that I feel about it is I'm acknowledging that I made a mistake. It's sort of like self-deprecating humor. Like if you get out ahead of the thing that people are going to make fun of you for, that's the strategy anyway. But yeah, I'm interested in that intersection between negative self-talk and faith, because I think that a lot of people have very intense, strict, heavy burdens that they put on themselves. That you mentioned in there, like it's probably a good goal to have. Like you were saying, you want to be accountable. Like I should pass that better. And so when it comes to ethical, moral, spiritual things, I think that it comes from a good place when somebody maybe has like a standard that they want to live up to. But you mentioned there at the end that God, you believe God was involved in the process of healing your negative self-talk and bringing it to neutral self-talk and then positive self-talk. And I wonder if you just have anything to say about that and maybe how it's affected you if it has at all, in your spiritual life.
Absolutely. And all those are connected. And that's part of why I love coaching, because like volleyball is nice. It's a fun sport. I enjoy it, but I don't coach because I love volleyball. I coach because I love people and helping people learn and grow. And I realized recently I don't even play volleyball because I love volleyball. I play volleyball because I love the opportunities and things it opens up for me. I love being healthy and fit. I love competing. I love spending time with other people. And I love the opportunities that have opened up for me through it. Like I've connected to so many people at such high levels and just such interesting people, and life opportunities have opened up through it. So that's been a big part. My self-talk like carries over from volleyball to other stuff. So just in regular life, like it would be the same thing if I made a mistake or did something, or again, like the silliest thing I would beat myself up for if I took a wrong turn and it added time to my travel and I was late or whatever. And I would be like, you're so stupid. What are you doing? Why weren't you paying attention? Whatever, and just that, like having that switch from that to be like, oh, oops, I made a mistake, but next time I should probably pay more attention, or I should put my sound on my GPS or whatever so I can hear it. Like just again, trying to focus on the future of how to do that better rather than just beat myself up for the thing. Cause it's in the past, you can't do anything about it. There's no sense in thinking about it like that. So it's done that just in regular life stuff. And spiritually, and I preached a sermon about this during COVID at Willowbrook. This is one of the three things I talked about is self-talk and how that is a part of sports, but also a part of being a Christian, and how we view ourselves is important. And that's kind of where self-talk comes from, is how we see ourselves. And as a Christian, it's important to see yourself the way that God sees you, the way that he made you and how he invested in you. And he has value in you and he loves and cares about you. And just having that mindset makes such a big difference in your life of how you view everything. Like how you view and do everything in life comes from that. So a lot of people, especially if they like have made mistakes in their lives or have done things they regret, or just came from tough situations, a lot of people will think badly of themselves because of that. And because of that, they may not accept God's love, or they may not think they're worthy or of his grace or anything like that. And to flip that in your mind and like see God, like he loves you and made you intentionally and wants a relationship with you. If you can find that value, then that changes life. It changes how you approach everything and how you approach your relationships and how you approach your relationship with God and how you do your daily life. So I think it's huge. I think it's carried over both ways, and it benefits both ways. So like the better I get at my self-talk in sports, I get better at self-talk in life and spiritual things. And same thing the other way. The better I get in that realm of spiritual and life, the better it carries over into volleyball as well. So those go hand in hand. And I think it's super important. And just trying to have that clear, correct mindset and understanding of our worth as people and how God made us and views us.
Yeah. I was thinking about how in sports you have you're supposed to have like a move on to the next play mentality, like in football or whatever. In volleyball too, you just move on to the next rally or whatever. And I wondered if that future setting, like this is what I'm going to do next time I come across that situation. I wonder if that allows you to just let go of it in the moment. Is that what it's doing? Because it seems like that would be the key. Like when something negative happens, you don't want it to affect your teammate, like you were saying, and then you don't want it to affect the next play. Is that a good read on that?
Yeah, it's one of the premier skills in volleyball is being present, is being able to take it one point at a time and not focus on the last one. In some sports like basketball, hockey, they're more fluid where it's not like one play, stop. It's like continuous. Baseball is kind of like stopping all the time. It's pretty slow. And football is like one big play at a time. But volleyball is a chance, like every time a play ends, you have about 15 to 30 seconds maybe before the next play. And it's a time where you can either figure out what you're going to do next or like sulk and sit in what just happened. So being present is so important because there's not enough time to really sit and sulk and then switch and then figure out what to do next. Like there's not enough time for both those things. So you got to pick one. It's huge. It's so important. It's something that's what I looked for when I recruited players. I would see how did players handle mistake? How did they rebound to the next one? Were they still kind of sitting in what the mistake that they made, or are they ready for the next play? That's being present is huge, and being able to look forward to the next play is important, especially at the higher levels when you're like focused more on strategy and making adjustments. Because again, you don't want to take any of the time to be sitting in what just happened because you can't do anything about that. You can learn from it, but you need to quickly apply that to the future and not just be thinking about the past. And one thing that I started doing in sand volleyball that I'm playing that really helped is after a play, after a play didn't go well, I would take 2 handfuls of sand, and as I was sitting there after the play, or if I was standing, I would let it roll out or like come out of my hands, kind of like a timer, an hourglass, whatever. What are those called?
Yeah, an hourglass. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I would just let it slowly go out of my hand. That was what?
A boggle timer.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But I would just let the sand slowly come out of my hands. And while I did that, I would let myself think about what happened and not sit in it like in a bad way, but just like process through it and be like, I didn't get my feet to that ball. And because of that, I was late. And then I'm reaching for the ball instead of being able to control my contact. And I just think through that while I'm letting the sand on my hands. And as soon as the sand is gone, then it's done. And I let go of it. It's like I just let go of that thought and I move on to the next one. And that helped me to like switch gears. Like it allowed me to still have a second to think and to try to use that information. But I knew I had a limit of time there. So it wasn't enough time to just be sad for a bit. Like I had to just use it intentionally. And then as soon as the sand was gone, it's like, okay, next play, this is what I'm going to do. So that was really helpful for me.
Yeah. That's a really cool physical, tactile embodiment of, I don't know what you'd call it, like a pause, a moment of reflection. Because I'm thinking just of, the spiritual. You don't even really need to make a distinction between spiritual things and life things, but just the everyday experiences that you have self-talk about, or that you're afraid of failing at, or that you want to grow in. I think one necessary component with all of those things is time, and not just time for it to take place and for you to improve and get better, for the myelin to wrap around the axon, but for the recognition, for the just mental processing of what just happened, why did it happen, what am I going to do about it, what can I do about it. I think that if you're constantly in motion, you can, or even there's a it's sort of like that negative self-talk thing where you're ruminating on the mistake, and that feels like you're doing something good because you're at least signaling like I cared that I made that mistake or whatever. But if you get trapped in the rumination rather than really like taking stock of the situation, like everybody knows that the ball went out of bounds, everybody knows that you screwed up, but that's not what it's about. It's about the next time that opportunity is presented to you, how can you combat it, and yeah. So I just think that taking a pause is probably a good thing to do lots of times in life. Well, Jesse, this has been a lot of really good things. I wanted to actually talk about something completely different in my head, but this was really good, and I'll bring it up here and we can close with this. But I just know from talking to you throughout the journey of living in Western New York, where not a lot of volleyball stuff is happening, going to Ohio and then coming back, and just the whole journey, that there was always a sense of like, am I doing the right thing? It isn't like a slam dunk. No, it isn't a bump set spike profession where like you are gonna make a lot of money, or there's no guarantees, right? And so in pursuing this, not that everything's about money, but like, what was that process for you like, especially as somebody who follows Jesus? This was kind of what I envisioned the conversation being about, but I'm really glad about what we talked about, not saying anything. But yeah, so what was the process of like pursuing your dream, but also following God at the same time? Because I think there are a lot of people that maybe fear whether or not they're doing the right thing, and that keeps them from maybe failing, and moving forward in what they should grow in.
Yeah, it's been a challenge. It's been exciting. It's been an adventure, which I think is how God wants us to live life, whatever you do, whether it's a job that seems boring or doing what I'm doing, which is like doing my own thing, creating my own work, following my dreams, following my passions. Whatever you do, I think God wants us to have a life that's interesting and where we learn and grow and fail and struggle and go through everything. And I think all those things are part of how He made us to go through life and become more who He made us to be. So I really dove into that. It wasn't the plan. I went to school I did pre-med in school. I was intending to be an emergency room physician, and then just financially didn't work out. Once like for the schools I got into, it just didn't seem to make sense. I didn't get enough financial aid and loans and all that kind of stuff to do it. I still could have found a way to do it, but it just didn't seem like it was the right thing to do. Like it didn't seem like God was opening up doors for me to do it, even though I felt like He had opened up the doors for me to do pre-med. So that was confusing because I had just spent a lot of time and work, and I'd sacrificed a lot to earn my grades and do the MCAT well and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I've grown up in an incredible family with incredible people that all love God and live for Him truly, like daily, not just like saying it and going to church on Sunday, but like doing it every day, all the time. And not in a perfect way, but like the intent to keep doing it, which is great. So I just kept going and just kept trying to find the next best thing, do the next best thing in life. So yeah, when it wasn't med school, I tried to figure out what was next, and then God opened up doors for me to go to CCU, like I mentioned earlier, to do seminary. And I didn't go with the intent to become a preacher, but I went with an open heart with that as a possibility, or just to learn and just to see how God used that time. And didn't end up becoming a preacher from that. My dad is a preacher. My grandpa's a preacher. They're two of the best ever. Just such smart, incredible, Christ-like people that have impacted me in so many ways. But it just didn't seem like God was calling me. I think I could have done that. I think I could have done it well. I think God could have blessed that. But it didn't feel like he was pulling me towards that. So I just learned a ton when I was there. I grew a lot, had that opportunity to coach with the team, which was my first one. And then just did that for a year and moved on. And then it was a series of random jobs, just trying to pay off loans and figure out what to do next. Found coaching. There were like 3 really big moments in my life that got me to volleyball. The first one was, let's see, what was the first one? Well, I talked about it earlier. So being on the club team at UB. Hadn't played volleyball on a team before. Had a friend that said, hey, my friend is running this tryout for the club team. You should go. And I was like, I don't play volleyball. And she's like, yeah, but you're an athlete. You should try it. And I was like, don't know what I'm doing. They all probably played on teams and I don't know. And she encouraged me to go. And I remember the moment of, and this is a big thing in life too, is like getting out of your comfort zone, just trying stuff when, again, like being afraid to fail is part of it, but also just being afraid to be uncomfortable is part of it. And I remember sitting there and just thinking about it and not knowing what to do. And then eventually decided to go. So I went, got on the team, like I said, not on the actual team, but the practice team, and then worked my way onto the actual team. So that was getting into volleyball. Second one was I was back after I'd visited here a few times in Maui and played a little bit of beach volleyball here. I went back and I wanted to play beach volleyball in Rochester. They have good stuff in the summer, which the summer for us is like a month, maybe 2 to 3 months. But we're by a lake, like half an hour from a lake with good sand. So we got a chance to play sand tournaments in the summer, which is fun. Hadn't done that before. Still was very bad at playing beach volleyball, but I had a friend that invited me to come play pickup with them. And again, these guys all played beach volleyball a lot. They played indoor volleyball on teams. They knew what they were doing. I did not. I wanted to go. I wanted to learn to get better, but I also was afraid to go and be the one person that didn't know what they were doing and to fail a lot. And I remember that moment, sitting in that and being pulled both ways and like, I don't want to go and be embarrassed, but I really want to get into this. And I decided to go. That was Nick Chan, by the way. Nick Chan invited me to that one. So God used him to help me. When I was there, again, I was not good, but I got to play, got to meet some people. One of those people was CJ Dank, who I mentioned earlier as well. And he runs the club, the Paradigm Volleyball Club in Rochester. He's an incredible coach. He is so smart. He's one of the best coaches I've ever seen at making mid-game adjustments. His brain works so well in that way. And he's done that as a player and now as a coach. And he has such a great connection with his players too. He has always invested a lot in the players and the parents, and both inside and outside of volleyball. And because of that, so many players care about what he says, trust him, appreciate him, all that kind of stuff. So met him and got to play with him. So that was the next part. Third step was I was playing a tournament at Hot Shots. They have sand. It's actually like dirt indoor pretty much, unfortunately. But it's at least kind of more like sand than hard court. So they have tournaments there. I was playing a tournament for the first time in like an advanced tournament, which was a big deal for me. And CJ Dank was playing with one of the girls that had played for him, Caitlin Costello. And I saw them hanging out in between a game, and I knew that he had coached. I knew that he ran this club, and I really wanted to start coaching. And so I thought I should go over and talk to him and see if I can coach with him. And then I was like, I don't know anything about coaching. I don't know what I'm doing. I have nothing to offer. I just want to learn. I feel like this isn't a good situation. Like I'm coming to him and just asking for a favor, but I have nothing to give him. But again, I just felt like God was pulling me to do it. And even though it was uncomfortable, I went over and asked him, and he said, yep, you can come. We have practices Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you can come and be part of that and learn and watch, and as many as you want, you can just be there. And so I started doing that. I was working a manufacturing job at that time to start paying off my loans. So I'd work like 4:30 a.m. to like 4:30 p.m. And then I go straight over to Hot Shots and watch them coach for 4 hours and just learn and ask questions and just observe. And through that process, I really learned how to coach, and I saw all the different coaches and how they, like, what their strengths were. I learned from each one, how they interacted with the players, how they gave feedback, how they did the game stuff, how they did practice stuff. Learned a ton. And after about a year, that's when I got an opportunity to coach at Cuca through CJ. He had known that I was trying to find an actual coaching job that was paid, and he heard of that one, recommended me for it, and I got the job as the assistant of the men's and women's team at Cuca. So that was cool. Got into that, and again, I'd been coaching with them and learning from them, but I'd never had like a full-time coaching job. I didn't really know what I was doing too much. I had ideas, and I really tried hard to do what I did well. But jumped into that, started learning a lot, asking a lot of questions of coaches that I knew of how to be a good assistant coach. Kept growing through that. And again, after 1 year, became the head coach of the women's team, and did that for 3 or 4 years after that. And just a series of learning there. So just one thing kept leading to another, but a lot of those things came to a point where it was like getting out of my comfort zone to go do the thing that could open up possibilities, but it was uncomfortable or scary to do it. And each time I felt like God was drawing me to that, and each time I chose to jump in. And I'm so happy I did. It's gotten me to where I'm in life right now. I could have gone somewhere else and maybe done other good things too. I'm sure God keeps opening doors for us, I believe, but I'm glad I went through these ones because this has been pretty fun. So yeah, I then coached at Cuca for a while, and then after that, that was COVID time, and ended up going to Ohio to play a sand tournament because they were still running sand tournaments there, even though New York was shut down for everything, but Ohio was still going strong. So went over there to play a sand tournament, and it was fun, had a good time, and then decided I might as well just stay here because nothing's happening in New York. I might as well just stay and play and train. And then again, God just opened up a door. So there was a lady who runs a club there, a big club in Cincinnati, Ohio Premier Volleyball Club, and her name is Ginger. And she was looking for coaches for the summer because they have extra summer stuff and need extra coaches. So she asked a friend of mine if she could coach. And my friend said, I can't, but I know somebody who can, and he's here. And so she connected us, and I started coaching there, just like helping out with the summer stuff, just evening things. And within a week, she asked me to be the assistant club director there, and like take a big role there and help run things and coach a ton and be a big part of that, which was such a cool experience. And again, I could have just been like, well, I don't live here. I'm just going to go back to New York. I was just here for a bit, but it felt like God was opening up this door, and it seemed right. So I jumped into it and spent a year there doing that. And again, like learned and grew in so many ways. I was coaching big camps and clinics, stuff with like a couple hundred kids, which I'd never done before. So I was trying to I learned ways to communicate with everybody that big and like organize that size of a group and do things like that. So I added more to what I could do, a lot more of like coaching on the fly, like figuring out how to, whatever I had, whoever showed up, how can I help them get better? How can I like create a plan around them? So I got better at that skill through that, and got a chance to coach a really fun 17s team that was one of my favorite teams I ever coached. So great experience there. And then I'd always wanted to come to Maui. Like this is, since we started visiting here, it just felt like this was where I was made to be. I don't know if that's actually like God put that in me, or if it's just he put in like things that I'm interested in and enjoy, and they're here, and that's why I want to be here. But I always wanted to be in Maui, and always kind of had the idea to try to do that, but it just never worked out. And then during this time in Ohio, I felt like if I was going to be on the East Coast still, or I guess Midwest, but if I was going to be over there, I should be in New York with my family. Like I want to be with my family. I love my family. If I was going to be somewhere else, I should be in California to play volleyball, or I should be in Maui where I love, and I could also play more volleyball. So after a few months, decided to go to Maui and just make it happen. Again, got open doors in crazy ways. My dad had contacted a few pickleball people. I was trying to find a place to live or stay at least for a bit. He contacted 2 pickleball people that he knew from when we visited. One of them had a place I could stay for 10 days when I got there that just happened to be open randomly, or God orchestrated that. So I did that. And then while I was in one of the airports, another one called me and said she knew a couple who needed somebody to house sit for like 2 weeks. And it was the 2 weeks starting the day that the 10 days ended. So that gave me almost a month of free time to be at places and get settled and try to find a long-term place to live. So again, just seemed like God was opening up those doors. Then I found a place to live. That was great. And then I just pursued the coaching stuff and playing here full time. Just tried to create my own coaching, do private lessons, group lessons, try to invest in players here, helped out at Seabury High School, and helped with the boys and the girls team there. And just had a passion for like raising the level of volleyball on Maui, because it's a small island. There's a lot of volleyball, but it's a lot of like recreational fun volleyball, not as much like high level stuff. And it's even hard for kids to go to college and play from here because it's just a tough thing to do. Club teams are even hard. It's hard to travel and play. But I wanted to help people get better here. So I just committed to doing that and followed God's opportunities to do it. And that's led me to California as well. So again, some weird things happened. Sorry, this is a long answer, but
no, it's all right. It's good. Yeah.
So I got to play in this big tournament called the Dino in Kauai in 2022. And it's an awesome tournament. They do old school rules. So it's the big court, side out scoring, no antennas. It's how volleyball used to be before like the 90s when they switched to these new ones. And so they created this tournament where a bunch of older guys could still play their old style volleyball for this one big tournament. And the other rule is that you have to add up to 80 years old with your partner. They also have a hundreds division, but the 81 is the main one. So because of that rule, you can't have two young studs playing together. You can't have two like 25-year-old great players playing together. You can have a 25-year-old and a 55-year-old. How's the math? Nailed it.
That's good.
You do that.
Yeah.
Or you can have two 40-year-olds, so like both kind of like still kind of athletic, but older and smarter, like good combo there. And it kind of levels the playing field. And also you get bonus points if you and your partner add up to more years than the other team. For every 4 years, you get a bonus point to start. So it just makes it like a tournament where anybody can play. You don't have to, it's not about your age or anything like that. And it makes everybody get to play together. So it's an awesome event. It's 4 days, and it has some of the best players ever in the history of the U.S. volleyball, like USA volleyball, playing it. Like Phil Dahlhauser, Jake Gibb, Reed Pretty, John Hayden, Taylor Crabb just played last year, and he's played multiple times. He's currently one of the best AVP players. So it's a cool experience with some of the best players coming to play, and I wanted a chance to do that. So I found a partner here on Maui. We had up to the right age. We went and played and did really well. I never played big court before. I had no idea what I was doing in that way. I knew the game, but it's just a little bit different with big court. It changes how you play and the side-out scoring. But just went there and went for it, tried it. And we did really well. We came in 7th out of like 60 teams and beat a lot of like former pros, some like current pros. And yeah, it was just like surprising for how well we did, I thought, for playing a new game and playing against such established players. And my partner, Dan Schultz, he has played at a very high level before, but at this point he like lives in Maui as a family. He focuses on that more. So he's not playing volleyball all the time. So that was a really cool experience. And I got noticed by some people there because most people knew everybody else there. They had all played together at some point. So everybody kind of knew each other. I was kind of like the new person because I've played some good stuff in New York, in the Midwest, but not really a lot with these guys, West Coast and big time stuff. So I got invited to go to California and train and play with some of these guys, which was a cool thing, and decided to do it. So a month later, decided to go, went to California, was just going to try to see if God opened doors there and figure it out. And like the third day I was there, I was playing and was up blocking, got hit straight on by a ball blocking because the wind blew it away, hit straight on my pinky, shattered my pinky. And so I was done with volleyball for 6 weeks. I had to wear a brace, wasn't able to play with two hands. Even like the vibration of the ball hitting my arm, they said was not good because it would interfere with the healing. So I wasn't able to play at all. So that was frustrating, and it felt strange. Like I thought that God had been opening up those doors, and then it seemed like he just slammed it shut with a weird injury that didn't make any sense. So I ended up coming back to Maui, spent more time here while I was healing. But I ended up playing a lot of volleyball still because I had a lot of friends that played. Didn't play doubles as much, but I played a lot of like 4s and 6s because there's a lot of that happens recreationally, consistently. And so I played, but I played one-handed. So I was passing with one hand, I was digging with one hand, I was setting with one hand, I was just trying to do it all with one hand. And because the group I was playing with, it allowed me to do that. And I made a ton of mistakes. I actually have a post about this on my Instagram of all my mistakes with trying with one hand. I just watched it today or yesterday. I was showing somebody. and it's just trying to do it and failing, trying to do it and failing, trying to do it and failing, and just all these different attempts that weren't good. And then the next slide is the times that it worked. So like showing the times that I dug a ball with one hand, backhand flipper, scooping balls, and finding ways to control it, which was such a cool thing to like see that I could get better at doing that, which seemed impossible, but I was controlling these balls with one hand. And so those skills I developed, both the physical skills and the growth mindset skill there, that's been huge for me going forward. And I wouldn't have had that had I not broken my finger, I don't think. I think that allowed me to be in that and learn that. So again, it felt like God was closing a door, but I think he was opening a door to me having a bigger growth mindset and developing extra skills that are going to help me when I play. So the following year, I was like, all right, I'm going to try this again and go back to California. Delayed a little bit for different reasons, but ended up going in July and jumped in again full time. So 2023, played from July till the end of the year as much as I could. Every tournament that happened, just played all the time. Got to play and train with some of the best players in the country, which was such a special experience to be playing at that level and feel like I was just one of those guys. Like, not like the Dino tournament I talked about the year before was, I was excited to be in their presence. And now I'm like competing with them and challenging them. And that was such a cool switch for me. Got to coach a lot there too, which I'm really passionate about as well. And got to invest in a lot of people there too, which is a big part of the coaching. Is I want to help people learn and grow, but mostly I want to help people know Jesus. That's the most important. So this gives me a chance to, and it gives me a chance to show my passion and who I am and how God made me, and do that in a way that benefits them because they're getting better at volleyball. They're getting better in their mental skills. And then the reason for that is because like I believe that God loves us and invests in us and wants the best for us. And I'm trying to use my skills that he's given me and help me develop in that way. So that's been cool. And one of the cool parts of California coaching is, so there's a rating system in California for tournaments. There's B, double B, A, double A, triple A. Those are the ratings. You work your way up. So once you play a tournament, if you win a tournament, you are in the higher rating, so you can't play that tournament again. It's a way to like stop people from sandbagging and stuff. But part of like the California, LA kind of culture is people care a lot about their reputation, their identity, what people think of them. So your rating in volleyball is a big thing, and people play all the time. They would play volleyball all the time. There are a lot of groups that play, but you can't play in a group that's better than you. It's just kind of how it is there. Like you have to be good enough to get into certain groups. So even if you just show up into a group and like, hey, can I play? They often will be like, well, what's your rating? And then you tell them what your rating is based on your tournaments. And then if it's good enough, they'll let you play. So it was cool coaching there because I got a chance to help people expand their social connections and be able to be involved in new groups because they got better at volleyball. So again, like volleyball's fun. It's great to help people get better at volleyball, but to allow them to have new experiences and new groups they could be a part of because they got better at volleyball is a pretty cool experience. So that was special there. Really enjoyed the coaching stuff there. Had some great opportunities to coach with some cool people. Chase Frischman is one of them where I got to meet him. And again, he's one of the guys, he's one of my favorite defenders to watch. He played at, I think, San Diego as libero, and now he's playing AVP stuff. And anytime I went to a tournament, I would go to his court because he's a great defender and he has great shots. And those are the two things that I enjoy most. Mm-hmm. So I was watching him play, and then I got to meet him one time, which was cool. And then ended up getting to coach with him, and we shared a lot of conversations about coaching stuff. And that was really helpful as well. So yeah, great experiences there. Wanted to go back, intended to go back there, but some things happened, some life stuff happened, some changes with AVP happened, and didn't end up going back last year, which was tough. And I actually stopped playing volleyball for pretty much 15 months. I played, I think, 2 or 3 times in 15 months, really, which is crazy because it's like a part of who I am. But I had stopped doing it and went through some tough times, grew a lot through that time. And just a month ago, just decided that I need to get back into it. Like, I believe this is what God made me to do. I believe that he opened up experiences and opportunities for me to do this and to grow in this, and that he's invested a lot in me in this way, and that I want to give that back to him and use that for him again. So started playing volleyball again. It was terrible at first. I couldn't move, couldn't pass a ball. really embarrassing. But again, growth mindset allowed me to keep going instead of being embarrassed with these people seeing me play and be terrible. And instead, I was like, I'm going to get better. It's going to take time, but I'm going to get better. So I'm just going to do it. And just had that peace going through it, which is helpful. So over the past month, I've been playing like every day, multiple times a day. I try to play like 6 to 8 hours a day if I can, and coaching a lot too. A lot of opportunities to coach, which helps me be a better player and gives me a chance to coach and invest in others, which is great. And yeah, God has really taken me from a really tough, down, low situation in life to like feeling at one of my best places in life where he I feel like I'm where he wants me to be, like as a person and where I'm at. I just feel like I'm in his will, which is such a cool feeling. You don't always feel that, and you might always be in his will. You might not know it, but it's fun when you actually feel like you know it and you're there too.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. So
Yeah.
that's where I feel like I'm at. And actually, wait, sorry, you have something?
No, you,
Okay, finished. When you asked me to do this a little while back, I think it was around a month ago, and I was still kind of down, still kind of in a tough place. And I wanted to do this, but I felt like I didn't have the good stuff to say that I wanted to say, and it didn't feel right. And so I was willing to, but I kind of just trusted God that it would be okay, but I wasn't feeling good about it. And then since then to this point, like I feel at one of my best points in life, and I'm really excited to share the stuff that I've learned and get to share that with you and whoever else is listening. And just I'm excited about life and excited about what God's doing in my life and where he's taking me and the opportunities he's opening up and the people I get to connect to and all that. So even that is just a small example of God's timing and working things out. And when you just trust him and jump into things, like he does great things. But a big part of it's kind of what we talked about trust earlier. It's kind of coming around here.
yeah.
Like trusting your coach when I want my player to trust me and try things. Like I'm trusting God and I'm just going to try things and trust that he knows what he's doing and he will lead me in the right way. And yeah, it's led me to this cool place. So I appreciate you giving me this chance to share and have this conversation. And I appreciate God for sticking with me and working things out in life to get me to this point.
Yeah, that is what I was about to jump in and say. That it is so cool that all throughout your story, it was just I don't know how many times you said it, but upwards of 10 times you said it felt like an open door or that felt like a closed door. But the open door situations are almost more terrifying because you're confronted with the possibility of it being God's will, as you said, or really like a good thing. You know, so the thing that you want to happen will happen if you go through this door. But of course, that's how life is. That's why we were talking about the growth mindset and the way that like it could only happen if you go through the door, if you put faith in God, if you take a step based on that faith. That's the only opportunity that you have, right? Is to give it a try, and then the results vary, and often they will be negative if you think of failure as inherently negative. It's like being able to wrap your mind around the possibility of failure, the likelihood of failure, but going anyway. It just put you in a lot of situations that led to the next open door because you could never see. I don't know if we cut the video up, like between each step that you mentioned, a door being opened or shut is like that's a whole thing where you're worried about what will happen and whether or not you're thinking about it correctly, or I don't know what to do in that situation. I've never been a coach before, but CJ gave you the opportunity, and then from there, that developed your relationship with CJ. Not to mention your coaching skills and your own personal connections with different people, and yeah, so it's really cool to see, like you said, that it comes back around because I think that I wrote a blog post recently about how there's I called it compound interests, which is fun because it was a play on words. Like it was like the interest that we were talking about with talent, that you pursue an interest and it has a compounding effect because you bring with yourself to that experience all of your previous experiences, And then walking away from it, there's a wide open field of possibilities. And whichever door you choose to walk through, you bring that experience that you just went through with you. And so if you stay on one path for a long time, like you have with volleyball, then you'll go lots of different places. And if your goal is to get to the top, then you can do that. But if you decide to switch off or maybe go back to med school or whatever it is, it's like you bring with you all of these things that you've accumulated through your journey. And so I think that is a huge aspect of why it is that failure is not negative. It's not bad because it is an experience. And even though it's not the result that you wanted, it's still an experience of an opportunity, a situation, a scenario. And it's only when you recognize the value of the experience just in and of itself. It sort of reminds me of, we were talking about being present. It's like, it's super important to be present because otherwise you're not experiencing, like you're going through something, but if you're not like aware of it, then you'll be minimizing the impact of what you're going through in a given situation. So yeah, I think your life is a good example of all of those things that you were talking about, all of the abstract ideas that have helped you be able to teach people. I think obviously it has much more impact when and even like trustability. That's not a thing, but like I can trust it because I see the way that you've lived it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I the only other follow up I wanted to ask was you mentioned your coaching, and I know that you do that in person and virtually, and I just wanted to give you a chance to describe that for people, and then plug it, and then you got volleyball to go play. So
Yeah, thank you. So since coaching that club in Ohio, since then I've just been doing my own coaching stuff. So wherever I go, I do private lessons, group lessons. I help out at camps and clinics and things like that. But I run my own stuff, which gives me the flexibility to, again, go where God leads me. And it's not always easy. I've had a lot of struggles and difficulties, and it's tough finding places to stay and finding cars and finding whatever. It's been tough, but God has always blessed it and made it work. Like here in Maui, I do individual training whenever I can. If people want lessons, I'll do that with them. I offer group stuff, which I'm doing later today. I'm doing one at 4:30, and it's just whoever shows up can be part of it, and I'll help them learn and grow. And I try to create community through that as well. So like people that keep coming to the same group things together is fun to create that community. And again, like the culture of growth mindset together. It's fun to establish that through groups. So that's been great. I do mental training for athletes. I started doing this through COVID when I started doing it with my players, and then started focusing on doing that more, like offering it to more people, more players, more athletes. So I've done it a lot with players that I've coached before. That's my easiest connection, is players that already know me and they trust me and they're willing to do that, want to do that. So I do that with Zoom chats, phone calls, in person, whatever. And again, it's mostly just going through a program of a different topic and trying to help them learn and grow through that. So I do that. I have a website called Thriving Athlete. So the website is actually thriving-athlete.com. Couldn't get thrivingathlete.com by itself because that's taken, but they're not even using it, so it's frustrating. But thriving dash and athlete.com, that's the place to go. It's got all my mental stuff on there, so it shows all the topics, it shows the options, stuff about myself, ways to connect with me. So that's a good place to connect. And this mental stuff is for athletes, but it's for anyone. Like anyone can benefit from these things. I have them tailored towards volleyball and can switch them to any sport, but it can really be for anybody to talk through these ideas and how to apply them to your life. So happy to do that with anybody. Happy to invest in people in that way. That's what I'm really passionate about. Again, is helping people learn and grow in things that matter in life, things that carry over to other parts of life, not just passing a volleyball, but again, how to handle pressure, how to communicate with somebody, how to handle feedback, all that kind of stuff. It's really important. So love doing that. And when I go to California, I'll be doing the same thing. So mental training whenever I can, a lot of volleyball training with people, both individual and group stuff there, and helping out teams when I can, because I love investing in teams. I love investing in players as much as I can. So doing that as well.
That's awesome. Do you have any tournaments that you're looking forward to? Are you there yet after a month back playing volleyball?
Yeah, I didn't mention this part, but I feel like I've gotten to the pretty much the level I was at in California after having played full time there from July till November, which is crazy. I haven't faced the same kind of like big blocks, big hitters, great defenders that touch everything. I haven't faced that here because there's not too much of that in Maui really. But as far as like my contacts, my movement in the sand, my fitness, all that is like gotten back to that level. God has helped me to do that, just giving me opportunities to play and continue to get healthier, which is awesome. So yeah, I feel good. I'll be playing tournaments as soon as I get back there. I'm playing one on Oahu on April 12th with my partner for the Dino, which I mentioned before, the Dino tournament. I'm playing that one. That'll be on Kauai later this month, April 24th. So that's my next like big tournament, is the Dino on the 24th. That'll be exciting. And then I play that one on the 12th. And then in California, just every weekend there's tournaments to play. There are tournaments to play. So I'll be playing those as much as possible. And then figuring out which AVP tournaments make sense to travel to try to play and try to qualify for and all that. It's just like a series of tournaments, and you try to figure out which ones make the most sense with your partner. And so I'll be figuring that out as I go. But the next one I'm looking most forward to is the Dino in Kauai, and getting a chance to play and hang out with all those guys again and compete at a really high level.
That's awesome. All right. Thank you, Jesse. This was great. I appreciate your time, and I wish you luck in the coaching business, but more importantly, maybe right now on the sand court.
Thanks, Ian. Yeah, it was such a pleasure talking to you as always. And you have such a great mind, such an interesting mind. And again, like I was just talking about you when I was describing to somebody about this podcast and how you've had different experiences in life too, your comedy experience, your improv experience, and all different kinds of experiences have gotten you to this place where you have an interesting creative mind that works in a different way than a lot of people's do, and it allows you to see things in different ways and approach things in different ways and talk about things in different ways. And conversation with you is a delight. Like it's always fun and interesting to talk to you, whether it's in person when we see each other at Christmas, or it's on the phone, or it's a situation like this. It's God has put so much goodness into you, and it's been so cool to see how he's using that and continues to use that, and watch you like jump into that in your own way, like I have, but different paths, but same kind of idea, same kind of mindset and motivation to do that. So yeah, pleasure talking to you, and I'm excited for where this continues to go for you, and hope that people keep tuning in, listening to this and learning from it. And yeah, I'm excited for you, and hope to do this again sometime.
Yeah, we'll do it sometime.
Cool.
Maybe if you win the Dino, I'll have you back on to do a victory lap.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Go for it. All right. Thanks, Jess.